There's a dangerous illusion we've all been taught to believe, that everyone who walks and talks like us feels like us, that beneath every human face lies a human soul. But what if that wasn't true? What if, scattered among us, there exist beings who look human, speak human, even smile like humans, but are empty within, not metaphorically but utterly, irreversibly hollow, not broken, not wounded, not lost, absent. These are not merely difficult people or emotionally distant individuals. They are something else entirely, soulless entities cloaked in flesh, functioning like people, but missing the vital spark that connects us to love, empathy, and purpose. They imitate life without ever living it. They consume warmth, but never generate it. They mimic connection, but never truly touch another soul. And the most terrifying part, they're good at it. They blend in, they pass as friends, lovers, family, even spiritual teachers. But behind the polished smiles and borrowed words is a void so deep it chills the room around them. It's the kind of emptiness that cannot be fixed because it was never whole to begin with. You may have encountered one and not even known. You may have felt it, an uneasy weight in the air, a confusion after speaking with them, a sense that something was off, but you couldn't explain why. This video is not about superstition. It's about discernment, the art of seeing what hides behind the mask, the ability to recognize in a world full of roles and noise who is truly alive and who only pretends to be. Because if you've ever had your joy drained by someone, if you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling smaller, sadder, or strangely lost, it wasn't just your imagination. There are people who pull light from others because they have none of their own. They do not evolve, they do not awaken, they merely adapt to and consume. From the outside, they may appear charming, intelligent, even successful. But don't let appearances fool you. The soulless wear their masks well. What they lack is not intelligence but essence, not vocabulary but vibration, not presence but presence of spirit. And the soul. The soul is not just a poetic metaphor. It is the engine of truth, the source of empathy, the mirror of the divine within us. It's what makes a human feel human. It's the quiet voice that whispers, "This is right," even when no one is watching. It's the ache for meaning, the longing for beauty, the desire to become more than we are. Without it, life becomes theater, a performance, a shallow echo of something real. Soulless beings do not evolve because there is no self inside them to evolve. What you see is what they've assembled, copied from others, stitched from culture, customized to deceive. Some traditions warned us long ago. The ancient Gnostics spoke of counterfeit spirits, entities born without the light. The Vedas described asuras who wore the human shape but lacked divine impulse. Even early Christianity warned of those who walk among us but are not of the same source. These weren't just metaphors, they were warnings. You don't need to see demons to be in danger. Sometimes, the most dangerous energy walks beside you, wearing a smile. In this video, we're going to explore the hidden signs that reveal a soulless being, not to judge but to protect your own vital energy, your clarity, your sanity. Because discernment is not cruelty, it's self-defense. And in a world that prizes performance over depth, stillness over noise, and charm over authenticity, the ability to feel who is real has never been more important. Stay with me. What you'll learn next might change everything. You've seen it before. Maybe you couldn't put your finger on it at the time, but something was off. You were talking to someone, maybe a friend, maybe a relative, and everything seemed normal. They were smiling at the right moments, nodding, in agreement, saying the words they were supposed to say, but something inside you didn't believe them. Something in their tone, their energy, their stillness made your stomach tighten and your instincts whisper. There's nothing behind their eyes. This isn't paranoia, it's perception. Your body knows what your mind has been trained to dismiss. The first and most consistent marker of a soulless being is emotional emptiness. Not sadness, not depression, emptiness. They don't laugh with joy, they rehearse. The sound of laughter. They don't cry in grief, they produce tears like actors in a play. They watch how others express love or pain and mimic it, but they never truly feel it. Because there's nothing inside for the feeling to touch. It's like shouting into a cave and hearing no echo, just endless cold silence. They may seem emotionally stable, unshaken, composed, but that's not peace. That's the absence of depth. Their calm isn't spiritual maturity, it's emotional deadness. They're not grounded, they're empty. And when you share something raw with them, a heartbreak, a dream, a vulnerable truth, you'll notice a strange dissonance. They'll nod. They might say, "I'm sorry you went through that." But there's a flatness to it, like a script being read, not a soul bearing witness. They might imitate sadness, even anger, but they do so with the detachment of a machine. No tears behind the eyes, no shake in the voice, just hollow performance. This is why many people feel strangely disoriented after deep conversations with such individuals. It's like standing in a mirror maze. Everything reflects, but nothing is real. And it doesn't stop with emotion. Empathy, too, is missing. Soulless beings are incapable of truly feeling what another feels. They can observe suffering, study it, even use it, but they do not feel with you. If they show compassion, it's often strategic, not sincere, a way to build trust, a currency to gain control, not a reflection of internal goodness, but a calculated move on an emotional chessboard. When others are in pain, they may seem confused or annoyed rather than moved. When someone shares joy, they might respond with polite enthusiasm, but never the radiance of shared celebration. There's always a gap, a lag, an eerie sense that their reactions are one beat too slow or just off. You might dismiss it at first. You might tell yourself, they're just awkward, or maybe they weren't raised to express emotion. But over time, the pattern becomes undeniable. They imitate but do not embody. They speak of love but do not act from it. They reference light but cast shadows wherever they go. And this hollowness is not always obvious. In fact, many soulless beings are extremely socially skilled. They know how to imitate empathy, generosity, even vulnerability. They may come across as charismatic, persuasive, even spiritually awakened. But behind the mask is a chameleon soul, a being who adapts but never transforms. Their identities shift like sand. One day they're a healer, the next a philosopher, the next a victim. Not because they're growing, but because they are hollow costumes changing for the stage. And in the presence of true suffering, of raw, sacred, unbearable human emotion, something inside them falters. Because they have no inner place to hold it, no well of spirit to receive it, no inner silence to absorb it. This is the moment when the mask slips, because the soulless cannot fake what they've never known, or reverence, stillness, devotion. The Sattu. Soul is the organ through which we feel the sacred. Without it, sunsets are just colors, music is just sound, a newborn's breath is just oxygen. And no matter how many quotes they memorize or teachings they repeat, the energy doesn't match the words. Their presence betrays the truth their voice tries to hide. So trust the mismatch. Trust the cold room, the empty eyes, the flat smile. Because once you begin to sense the absence of spirit, you start to recognize that not everyone who speaks of love has felt it, and not everyone who looks human is. The most chilling truth about soulless beings: they don't always hide in darkness. Sometimes they shine, or at least they pretend to. They quote the right books, they light incense. They talk about frequency, alignment, love, and light. They might even stand on a stage with thousands of eyes locked on them, speaking of awakening and divine purpose, but their energy tells another story. You see, real light does not need to speak its name. You feel it. You feel it in your bones, in your heart, in the way time seems to pause when true spirit is present. But the light that the soulless mimic is different. It's polished, branded, marketable, but cold, hollow, lacking depth or resonance. This is because they do not seek truth. They seek power. Knowledge is not nourishment to them. It's a tool. Spiritual teachings are not paths, they are costumes. They gather sacred words like tools in a toolbox, not to liberate, but to dominate, not to connect, but to control. The moment you begin to trust them, you'll notice something strange happening inside you. Your intuition dims, your confidence shrinks, your boundaries blur, not all at once, gradually, like a fog rolling in. Soft at first, then suddenly everywhere. And it's not by accident. It's because soulless beings are energetic siphons. They don't just take your time, they take your light. Not maliciously, not with fire and fangs, subtly, steadily. Through charm, confusion, and contradiction, they pull your attention. They demand emotional energy. They draw you into their world with stories, crises, flattery, or even flirty affection. And before you know it, you feel depleted, like something invisible has been taken from you. Because it has. Soulless individuals do not create energy. They can only steal it, and they are drawn to bright souls like moths to flame, not to admire the light, but to dim it. Empaths, healers, creators, seekers, these are their favorite targets. Not because they love these people, but because they need them. Just like a parasite needs a host. They love bomb you at first, mirroring your deepest dreams and vulnerabilities. They'll seem like soulmates, kindred spirits, or the answer to a prayer. But soon, the warmth vanishes. And what replaces it is a confusing cycle of praise, withdrawal, guilt, and manipulation. You'll begin to question yourself. Did I say something wrong? You'll try harder to earn their affection. You'll make excuses for the coldness, and they'll let you. Because in that disoriented state, you're easier to control, easier to feed on, easier to drain. What begins as connection ends in confusion. What began as spiritual intimacy ends in spiritual erosion. The deeper truth? These beings are not learning from you. They're mimicking you. They watch how you move, how you speak, how you heal, and they borrow your light like an actor studies a role. They can become anyone they need to be to extract what they want from you. And when you begin to wake up, when you question, when you confront, when you set a boundary, they shift, they gaslight, they blame, or they vanish, leaving you with a strange, lingering emptiness, not just because of the loss, but because you were never seen, never held, never truly met. They were never with you. They were only near you. And the difference is everything. This is why so many victims of these relationships don't just feel sad. They feel violated, spiritually invaded, because the harm done by the soulless is not just emotional, it's energetic. It's the theft of your clarity, the erosion of your soul's fire. But here's the power you must remember. You can feel the truth even when it's hidden. You can sense the emptiness even when it's wrapped in light. Because the soul knows, even when the eyes lie, the body feels, the heart whispers. And when that whisper grows loud enough, you must listen, not with fear, but with fierce clarity. Because the soulless do not fear kindness. They fear discernment. They fear presence. They fear those who see. There is one test that almost always reveals the presence of a soulless being, not through confrontation or accusation, but through silence, stillness, that sacred, heavy space where nothing needs to be said and everything is felt. Try this. Sit with them. Don't speak. Don't explain. Don't distract, just be still, and then observe. Do they fidget? Do they rush to fill the silence with meaningless words or forced emotions? Do they become visibly agitated, like someone being slowly exposed by an unseen spotlight? That reaction isn't just discomfort, it's a mirror reflecting absence. Because silence reveals what noise conceals. A soulful person can sit in stillness. They can rest in silence without anxiety because their inner world is alive. Silence becomes an invitation inward, a place where truth lives. But to the soulless, silence is unbearable. It exposes their lack of spiritual gravity. Their inner void becomes undeniable. They need distraction, movement, talking, noise, something, anything, to keep them from collapsing into their own emptiness. This is why so many of them live in constant performance. They fill their schedules with activity. They dominate conversations. They attach to roles, guru, artist, savior, victim, not to serve but to hide. Stillness strips away the masks. And here's the real power. When you stop performing, they start to fall apart. Because your stillness becomes a signal. Our spiritual alarm that says, I see you, I feel the mismatch, I am not fooled. And without the ability to control the narrative, the soulless begin to panic, subtly or overtly. They may lash out, gaslight you, suddenly withdraw, or shift the blame. Because what they fear most is being recognized. And that's the gift of discernment. You don't need to expose them with arguments or evidence. You simply need to refuse to betray your own perception. The soul doesn't speak in logic, it speaks in resonance. When someone's words say love, but their energy feels cold, believe the energy. When their stories paint them as wise, but you feel exhausted around them, believe your body. When they say all the right things, but something just doesn't sit right, trust that sacred knowing. Because you are the mirror they cannot control, and your clarity is your shield. Soulless beings don't just fear exposure, they fear boundaries. Not the kind you shout, but the kind you radiate, clear, grounded presence that says, this space is sacred, my soul is not a resource, I will not abandon my light to make you more comfortable. And that's where true power begins, not in resisting the soulless, but in fortifying your own essence, because your soul is your anchor. Your intuition is your compass, your presence is your protection. And no matter how many faces they wear, how many verses they quote, how many tears they fake, your stillness will always know the truth. So sit with them, say nothing. Let silence grow like a rising tide, and watch what remains standing when the waters rise. Because those who carry soul will settle deeper into that silence, but those who wear masks will drown in it. So how do you protect yourself? How do you move through a world where some wear masks so well you begin to doubt your own eyes, your own heart? The answer isn't paranoia, it's presence, not fear, but fortification, because the most powerful weapon against the soulless is a soul that is fully awake. This begins with an ancient practice, one you were born knowing but may have forgotten, claiming your light. Each morning, before the noise rushes in, stand still. Feel your breath. Speak, not to the world, but to the source within you. Say aloud, I belong to the light, I serve the truth. My energy is not a gift for those who seek to drain it. Say it with conviction, because the soulless respect boundaries, not kindness. They are not moved by your compassion. They are repelled by your clarity. Create an energetic perimeter around you, not in fear, but in sovereignty. Visualize a golden field of light surrounding your body. Watch it expand with every breath. Within that field, you are whole. You are untouchable. Carry symbols if they help. A cross, an ankh, the eye of Horus, not as superstition, but as focal points of strength. These are not decorations. They are anchors of memory, reminders of your alignment. When you must face someone whose presence leaves you cold, do not overshare. Do not explain. Guard your dreams. Protect your wounds. The soulless cannot understand your depths, and if given the map, they will try to use it against you. Be kind, but not open. Be courteous, but not exposed. Be calm, but not asleep. And above all, nourish your soul, daily, deeply, devotionally. Feed it with beauty, walk among trees, touch water, listen to music that brings tears, pray if you pray. Meditate if you meditate. Write, dance, weep, wonder. Return to whatever reminds you that you are alive and that your life is sacred. The more luminous your soul, the less you will attract those who seek to consume it. Your energy will begin to speak before you do. And those who walk in shadows will hesitate at your threshold, because light, true light, is not loud, but it is unmistakable. You are not here to fix the soulless. You are here to remember yourself, to awaken, to live fully, to radiate without apology, to become the kind of soul whose very presence disrupts illusions and brings others back to themselves. In the end, it's not about them. It's about you. And the more deeply you inhabit your soul, the more clearly you will recognize those who do not have one. This is not judgment. This is discernment. And discernment is how the light survives. So walk in that light. Speak from that truth. And never again doubt what your soul has always known. You were never meant to be confused. You were meant to see clearly, and now you do.